We are going into spooky season, and if you are anything like me and you don't really read horror, then this list is for you. This is going to give you all of those spooky, autumn, cozy vibes without being terrified. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, like I mentioned in the intro, we're gonna go over some books that are specific for spooky season, cozy autumn vibes, but you don't want to necessarily be terrified. I myself am someone who doesn't read horror, doesn't like to be scared out of her mind, and I know there's quite a lot of readers out there that are the same. So I'm gonna give you a list of different genres if you want to try any of these out. Nestle up, get cozy, get those spooky vibes, but not be scared. Before we get into the list, please make sure that you always like, subscribe, and check my description box below. My Patreon, Pango Books account, socials, and so much more is down there. Also, on my Pango Books account, I just listed quite a few books that I am unhauling. So run over there and see what is left. I also am running a special where you get 10 or 20% off if you spend, I think, $10, maybe $15. But anyway, run over there if you want to pick up any of my special editions and normal books that I am unhauling. So the first genre that we're going to talk about is thrillers or mysteries. These are books that will definitely get you into that spooky season vibe, but not necessarily make you scared, or it's not really a whole lot of horror elements to it. So the first one that I want to talk about is The Stranger Upstairs. I read this book last year. It was around, I want to say, this time as well. This is really, really good. It will get you in that spooky season vibe because it is about a girl in Australia. Her marriage is failing. They end up buying a house, and this house is not like any other house. People don't want them to live there. People want them to leave it alone because it has a tragic past. Things start unraveling. Spooky things start happening. You don't quite know what's going on. And also, our narrator, who is our female main character, she becomes more unreliable as the story goes on. I loved this. It kept me on the edge of my seat. I wanted to know what was going on with the house, with the people, but it also didn't freak me out. Definitely one of the best books to get into for this time. The next one is Invisible Girl. This one is more of like a mystery type thriller where our girl is missing, and you see all of her diary entries as the days go on. There is a married couple that is in the mix of it because the husband was her counselor therapist. The neighbor is also part of it. There are other people involved, and you are seeing it from different perspectives. How everything is unwinding. You don't know who committed a crime. You don't know if there was any crime committed. This book will definitely keep you on the edge of your seat as well. I absolutely loved it, and I think I read it around this time 2 years ago. I couldn't stop. I was like, I need to know what happened. I need to know the story. How are these people connected? It just definitely got me in the vibe. The last one for this genre is Starling House. This one is like fantastical, but definitely a thriller and a mystery. Our female main character goes to work at this house, which is Starling House. There is a guy that lives there. He is owner, caretaker, if you will, and he always tells her, don't go to these places, don't do this. And of course our girl is like, well, now I need to know what's going on. This house seems to be alive in some ways, and it gives you that spooky atmosphere where you're like, what is happening? What is real? What is not real? And of course, there is a little bit of romance in here between the female main character and the male main character, but it's not the forefront of the story. It's just a little bit here and there. But this book really had me going because you're trying to unsolve this mystery, and you're trying to find out why this house is the way that it is. I absolutely loved it. It's very gothic-y. It gives you that ambiance feeling, and it is perfect for a read when it's a rainy day, when it's a cold day, when you can snuggle up and it's maybe foggy outside. Perfect atmospheric book. The next genre is dark romance. These books are extremely dark. Make sure that you check any trigger warnings before going into these. There is a mixed bag, if you will, of different trigger warnings throughout all of these, so I'm not really going to go over them, but just know, please check trigger warnings and take care of yourself before you go into these. The first one is going to be The Fabric of Our Souls. This is by definition the perfect read for October. You are following our female main character who ends up going to basically an insane asylum, and she ends up basically bunking with this guy. It's like a co-ed type situation. He's mysterious. He leaves in the middle of the night, comes back, blood all over himself. He definitely has this atmosphere about him of, should I be around him? Should I not be around him? But then we slowly find that there is a mystery inside of here. There is a past that is very dark and things happened on the premises, and the story goes from there. Our girl is kind of trapped up in all of these different mystery elements, thriller elements. It is one of the best dark romances to read during this year because the ambiance is just oozing from the pages. And of course, the next one is one of those that has been going around for so long, and that is Haunting Adeline. This is a stalker romance set in a house that creepy things happen. Our girl has no idea what's going on. Our stalker is stalking basically, but he definitely brings a lot of mysterious elements and frightful elements to this story. If you want a extremely dark romance that is set in a house that is kind of atmospheric and you think is haunted with the stalking element for that thriller aspect, definitely pick up Haunting Adeline. I don't think you can go wrong with this one. And then the final book in this category is Skeleton King. I highly suggest checking trigger warnings about this book because it is extremely dark. It has some gruesome elements to it, but it is a Nightmare Before Christmas retelling with real people and this town that has a mysterious element to it. People in the town do some terrifying things. You are trying to solve a mystery. You are also trying to help someone get out of a bad situation. All around, it is spooky, it is atmospheric, it is gothic-y, but it does have necromantic elements to it, so just make sure that you're okay with that. It also has some even darker themes to it, so like I said, trigger warnings, definitely check those, but who could pass up a Nightmare Before Christmas retelling during this time of year? And then of course the biggest set of books in this video is going to be the fantasy romance gothic-y type elements to the story, and this is the biggest genre list that I have. The first one is a brand new release that just came out in September, and it is called Immortal Dark. This is vampiric, dark academia. You have a girl that moves into her relative's house and there's a vampire that is there, but she is convinced that he is part of the disappearance of her sister. I'm telling you guys, this has all of the vibes, a mystery, little bit of a thriller aspect. It does have romance in there. It is dark academia, gothic-y. It just has so many ambiantic elements to it that I really don't think anybody would hate this book. The next one is another brand new release that is coming out October 1st, and that is The House at Watch Hill. This book is everything you would want during this time of year. It is witchy, gothic-y. You have our female main character who, starting out in the book, goes through a very tragic loss and then ends up getting a letter from someone saying that she basically is inheriting this mass fortune. So she travels to Divinity, Louisiana, where there are some mysterious things going on in the town. She has to move into this house that is very large, gothic-y, and the house is somewhat seems like it's alive. But then you have a cast of characters that make it even spooky in elements. You don't know what's going on. This is such a good read. I was so happy that I got an arc of this, and I highly suggest if you want a witchy vibe during this time of year, you cannot go wrong with this book. And then of course up next we have Blood Orange. This is also another vampiric book that is a duology. It is completed. You can finish it if you want to continue. It's not very long, but you are following our female main character who is a vampire hunter. She is tasked with tracking down Vlad Dracula, the Dracula, and she ends up getting entangled in this web of mystery, betrayal, deceit. It's very spicy, extremely spicy, but it's extremely good because the story elements to it make you want to keep reading because you're like, what is happening? What is going on? How does she fit into this? So many good things. So if you like a Dracula retelling, but something that's more modern and has a lot of spice to it, Blood Orange is where you want to be. The next one is a standalone, and it is Fairy Tale. This one has so many genres going on that I couldn't even list them all. Fantasy romance, paranormal romance, gothic, mystery, thriller, so many things, but this is a standalone, so you don't have a series to go on, and it's about our female main character in the 50s where she finds out that she has inherited some fortune. She has to go to the town of Fairydale. When she arrives, people don't seem the way that they should. There's a mystery aspect. Our girl is trying to stay alive, so there's a thriller aspect. Has all the gothic vibes to it. It does have a romance in here, but the main element is trying to unravel, why is our girl here? Who did she inherit the money from? And why are the townspeople acting the way that they are? This will get you in the vibe so good, and once you finish it, you're done with the story. I do have 2 YA books to put on this list in the category. The first one is Blackbird of the Gallows. You guys have heard me talk so many times about this. I don't know if I could explain it any better than I have in my past videos, but you are following our female main character where all of these crows are showing up in the town, and she's like, what is happening? A brand new family moves in next door, mysterious elements happening. She's trying to figure out what is going to happen in this town because there is like a foreboding ambiance like setting where people are like, something big is going to happen. Gothic vibes. It is YA, so there is like literally no spice, but it is so good. There is a novella and a second book in this series, but they're kind of like standalones with other characters, so you can only read the first one and be perfectly satisfied. I love this book. I want to reread it this year. And then the last one in this category is, of course, another YA, and it is Shades of Rust and Ruin. I did just read the second book that finished up this duology earlier in September, and this is perfect. It's set on Halloween. We are trying to figure out how to save her family members because someone dies every year on Halloween. She is trying to make sure that her family is safe. She gets whisked away in this world and different things start happening. Things are not as they seem. She ends up going to like a whole different like dimension, shall we say, that is with the Goblin King. I'm telling you guys right now, this is nothing but perfect for spooky season. And then the next category is like a sweet and cozy, wholesome type books. I only have 2 on here because unfortunately cozy fantasy or cozy romance are not my type of books that I enjoy, but I have read these and I do suggest them to people that like the cozy fantasy setting. The first one is going to be Legends and Lattes. This, of course, everyone talks about, but you are following our female main character who is an orc, and she doesn't want to be in battle or war anymore, so she decides to set up a coffee shop in this small town, and nobody knows what coffee is. So she's having to explain it to people. They don't quite understand what's going on, but she also hires another female that works with her. They end up having a little bit of a budding romance, so it is sapphic, but it is wonderful for all of your cozy readers because you go through day to day on how she's setting up the coffee shop, how she's trying to allure people in, and it's just a cozy vibe. There's no stakes in there. There's not really anything that you are on the edge of your seat with. It's just like, you know, a day-to-day person running a coffee shop. And then the last book in this category is The Spell Shop. This is a cozy fantasy where you're following our female main character who takes care of a library, and there is a budding romance. It is sapphic as well, but you are following her on this like low stakes mystery journey. She's trying to unravel this thing that happens, and it's just cozy and ambiance, and it's definitely perfect for this time of year. I'm just not a cozy reader, so I found myself not really wanting to stay in the story, but I know there's a lot of people out there that love their cozy reads. Definitely pick this one up. You will not be disappointed. And then the last category is series. If you want to binge a series, I have 2 YA series for you that you cannot go wrong during this time of year. The first one is the House of Night series, which is completed. There are 12 books in the main series. There are 4 or 5 little novellas about different characters along the way. And then also you have a spin-off series that is consisted of 4 books. So it is completed. You can definitely binge on this and complete it in entirety if you want to. But basically the House of Night, the core series, is about our female main character who ends up being marked. And she ends up having to go to the House of Night school, where if you become marked, you are going to become a vampire, potentially. And you are following her and this cast of characters along this journey because there is something brewing at the House of Night. There is something evil going on. You just get into this whole story and it just expands and it expands, and nothing is as you think that it is. Definitely a great series. And also the writing duo is a mother and daughter, and a lot of the places that they describe in this series are actual places in Tulsa, Oklahoma where they live. So you can go and do like a tour over there if you want to and see what was based on the House of Night and what was based on this hotel and different things like that. I don't live very far from there. I live about an hour and a half, and I still haven't done the tour, but I want to so bad. And then the last series on here is Vampire Kisses. This is a younger YA, but it wouldn't be considered middle grade because of the themes in this story. But you are following Raven, our female main character, who lives in this town. Someone moves in to this like house kind of on a hill on the outskirts, shall we say. She is trying to unravel this mystery. Why is she drawn to this guy? It is so good. It is a vampiric story. I highly suggest picking this up if you want a quick read, because I love this series so much. It is one of the series that got me into reading, or at least back into reading. All right, everyone, those are all of the books that I suggest during this spooky season, especially if you don't want any horror elements in your books. I love every single one of these books. I love the 2 series that I talked about. Let me know below, have you read any of these books? Do you intend to read any of these books based on my suggestion? Let me know comments below. But if you don't have anything to say, leave me a pumpkin emoji down below to let me know that you are still here. And I will see you all next time. Bye!